another thing I was curious to get your opinion on. So I noticed that when people talk about what has happened to R&B,
Mm.
um, a lot of people don't focus on uh, the television side of it.
Oh,
And
what
I
do you
feel like
mean?
there's a death of the music television. The music, for example, MTV,
Okay.
BT, they don't rarely play videos. We had used to, and I made a list that we used to have a outlet for new artists and um, artists in general to promote and perform where we could see them. Now we have to rely on the video shows like the VMAs, the BET Awards to see these artists. And if you've noticed, a lot of the ratings for these shows have dropped and dwindled. So there's a question of, is there a lack of interest in music? Is that really the underlining issue? Or is it the type of music that is getting through that window, that small window of opportunity? So we used to have shows like Video Soul,
Yeah.
Planet Groove,
Yeah.
MTV Jams, Showtime at the Apollo,
Yeah.
Arsenio Hall, which he was, I mean, that
Yeah.
was
He
a
was
very
there.
important show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
performances.
You had the box. Yeah.
The box.
Yeah.
We had MTV Unplugged, a show called Townsend Television, which I used to love back in the day. In Living
Okay.
Color, there used to be live performances
Yeah.
on
They used to
there.
bring them. Yeah.
106 in Park, TRL, MTV Grind, BT Next, Video Vibrations,
Yeah.
Video LP. I mean, we had a lot of video orientated
Yeah.
and performance orientated programming, and
Yeah.
that's
Teen
all gone
Summit and all
now.
the rest. Yeah. Do you know what
Teen
happened?
Summit,
Yeah. And I was a student of just entertainment. In fact, I actually did a course at UCLA um,
hmm
in music and television, and music and film management. And one of the things that started to happen was, and I don't know if you remember on MTV, a show called The Real World.
right?
Yeah,
I remember that. Love it.
it started with New York, went to LA, did Boston, San Francisco, and it started slowly, but it started to. That was the first reality TV, The Real World, and when it worked, they found out that they could make money with very little, just with real people. And so MTV stopped showing just music, 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 and started to do factual shows. And
Mm,
they realized they had a cash cow in that, so that's where they started to cut back um, on, and especially at that same time, CDs stopped selling. They were slowly dying out, and it became more streaming. So then MTV said, "Look, we need to." So that's Viacom, who owns MTV. That's what they started to do. When they bought BET, they looked and saw, okay, yep, you've got all these shows, but you're not really making much money, and we need to make money. So of course, BET, if you look at them now, I would think BET is less of a music channel and more of an entertainment channel that does a lot of factual shows and very similar shows. And yeah, people could say, "Oh, we miss Video Soul and 106 and Park and stuff like that." They just realized, look, we weren't making much from that, and we need to. It's back in a business. Um, and then also they were competing with street with YouTube, because back in those days, nobody I didn't go to YouTube to watch a video. I remember speaking to
right.
Timmy Gatlin, and he says he remembers seeing the guy "Wanna Get With You" being premiered on BET. So we used to watch. Remember when Michael Jackson's Black and White got the world premiere on Fox after The
Right.
Simpsons? Or even
I
remember the
remember.
time? I mean, that's how big music videos were for television. And so now that they could just show them on YouTube, and most people actually see their videos on YouTube, the networks are saying, well, we can't compete with that type of advertising, so hence they're not putting it there. Now, yes, you still get the live performances on a few shows, Saturday Night Live or some of the daytime talk shows and stuff like that. But as I
Yeah, it
said,
doesn't draw the same.
you've got a generation of us who watch more YouTube. I never use, as I said, I know as a consumer, I never used to watch that much YouTube until probably the last 2 or 3 years.
But
And
the reason I believe is because it gives people an opportunity to search for things. Like this is, if it wasn't for YouTube, I would not be finding these old videos or the new videos. You know,
yeah,
I'm looking for things. It's actually requiring me to do the work, which is cool, I guess. But what I will say is, we talked about the versus battle a few days ago, and I think that the success of the Teddy Riley and Babyface um, battle and all the battles after that
yeah,
show that um, there is a need, there is a hunger for that. There is a people want to see performances, and we do have a few YouTube channels that like the Tiny Desk concerts and things like that. A channel called, I think it's Colors. That's usually titled in the video. And the guy, you know, who kind of has singers come on his show, Terrell. There's a few things that have uh, a focus on like the performance aspect of it,
mm,
and I think we need more of that. I think that there is a hunger for that, and that's why we're seeing. That's one issue I think why we're seeing R&B in particular dying off is because there are no longer the Showtimes at the Apollos or the Soul Train. Now, of course, we can't do that like that anymore.
mm,
But if we look at how TikTok has taken off, let's take isolate and just talk about Soul Train. We watch the show for the dances and the guests.
yeah.
TikTok has become very popular. So I'm surprised nobody has thought to put that together into a program for on YouTube or something like that. Where because I think right now, I don't think now that we have YouTube, um, I think we're missing that we have actually become the broadcast channel. You know, we actually can turn our YouTube channels into what we're looking for. That's why I say we should. I want any artist to send in their live performance. Anything professional though, it has to be professional. We can't be you holding remote or a hairbrush in your hand
Yeah,
singing a cappella in your mother's kitchen. If
yeah,
you can produce a professional performance, I think we showcase that on our channels. You know, just like we did for Tevin the other day.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
I want to give R&B artists an opportunity to be seen and heard. You know, if Tevin had something to sell, I would buy it because I love that performance. And I think that we need to see the art of performing again, like just natural, not with someone ripping their, wearing some skimpy outfit, but an actual performance. Guitars, pianos, um, background vocals, and I think that that's what we miss. So
well,
um,
I mean,
that's my
what we probably will do, because there's, every now and then I get requests to bring in new unknown artists, and I say, well, that's, on halftime chat, it really has its audience for established 90s and 80s R&B acts. But for what we're trying to do here, I can always go back to the labels and the managers and say, hey, even though your artist is not hasn't is new, we can spotlight them and showcase them here. So that could be stuff that we can um, look into, and yeah, do
yeah,
interviews with new artists and just to get their story and stuff. But
yes,
as I said, you talk about whether is R so people the R&B artists would still say, look, we're still making music, we're still putting out videos. It's just that we are doing it ourselves and without the machine of a music industry pumping in the money to do the major promotions and stuff. I mean, mainly back in the day, they had street teams that would actually go out on the street and put posters all around the
hmm
streets and knock it and go into the radio stations. But as I said, I soon have found out the money involved, and it's like, hey, they don't make money just playing music.
no,
On a radio station. So hence, there's a lot more podcasts and talking and a few tracks, but a lot more talking because they're getting the airtime from that. So it's just how the business, the digital has just taken away the money that they were making from the old way, and they controlled it. and now they've had to
Well,
find more creativity.
it's unfortunate, but I do think there's a lot of money being left on the floor because there's an ignored market that is clearly there. And I think that's, there are people finding these little pockets of communities and different things that they're capitalizing off, and there would
Yeah,
be a lot of money, you know, in that because um, there was at one time. I mean, even though, I guess BT wasn't making the money that Viacom slash MTV thought they should, but whatever money they was making kept them open and kept them, paying their people. So
yeah,
I
but yeah,
think that there's something there, and we're not on that level. So I
yeah,
don't know. I'm not a big, CEO, big wig somewhere, but
yeah.
I think that somebody who has uh, the savvy, they should be able to kind of figure out a way to make that work, because there are a lot of people that would like to see the Tevin Campbells or maybe the Donnell Jones or Changing Faces or whoever come out and perform old and new material. And even if it's put in the context of a battle and it's just not called verses, it'd be
Well,
something else,
well,
battle of
that's
the
well.
bands.
See, that's where Thriller took a stake and bought the Versus brand, because they said, okay, how can we package this? And now Thriller are using Versus and the fame of that to promote their boxing
Right.
shows and things like that. BET signed a deal with DJ Cassidy to start to broadcast episodes of
Smart.
Pass the Mic on BT. You know, first it started with Soul Train Award after party. Then it started with Mother's
Hmm.
Day, and I think Cassidy has said he has one or two more later this year. So still going to be shown on BT and Vicon. So they've taken.
Yeah.
So
That's
before
another example.
no, before
That's a
they would set the agenda and it would go on the internet. Now they're taking stuff from the internet
from the
and now
internet.
trying to make it into a show. But where they're, you know, I think if you look at the BT DJ Cassidy's viewing figures on the internet, it probably has a combined viewership of over 15 million views. You know, that if you combine their 4 episodes they've done with him, they
Hmm.
probably have more people viewing that content online than they did on their channel. BET
Right.
shut down here in the UK because they had less than 100,000 people watching their shows. So they said,
Right.
look, it's not worth it. We're going to shut down operations here. So they are
Oh, let
having,
me let me be clear though. I'm not saying there should be a resurgence with television. Oh no,
yeah,
television's dead. I'm not. What I'm saying is that um I think that someone should get the bright idea to turn their YouTube channel into the place that people go for
yeah,
these things that they're missing. So
yeah,
someone develop their own version of Soul Train that's TikTok based,
yeah,
and
okay.
people doing the latest dances to the latest songs, and have some of those artists come and perform. I mean, it's like it's right there, but nobody, I mean, just like you said, DJ Cassidy
Yeah,
clearly took something that was the most simplest thing, have everybody, Skype in or whatever they're doing to sing their song, you know.
yeah.
I mean, and look how wildly successful and profitable that's been, where he's actually been able to sell that idea and give it to someone else. And so, same thing with the verses. The idea is to capitalize off of it. But the thing is, I think there's also a flip side of that that kind of saddens me, because we're always creating things that we're selling off. That's what's happened to a lot of the black radio stations and the black record companies, that once there's success, then we sell it off and then it's diluted and polluted and it's no longer the same. And so, it would be nice to do something for us, by us, that stays what it was intended to be, instead of letting some other corporate entity get their hooks into it, and now it's watered down, and next thing you know, it's versus battle with, you know Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees or whatever. We want it to kind of stay for us, but we always got to turn it over. I mean, we always got to like sell it and then wonder why we don't have something anymore. So that's an idea I put out in the
Yeah.
atmosphere. But I would like, to showcase live performances, like such as like with the Tevin Campbell, like of artists, established artists and new artists.
Yeah.
So if anybody would like to, put that, in motion.
Yeah. That's stuff we'll look into.